This is a part of the business that people don't discuss very much, but I'll tell you. Which brings me to a very important point. When you're learning a song and you're coming up with an arrangement, learn the words. Then you know what you're playing about. The difference between the men and the boys in the guitar world is...
This episode is going to blow your mind. For whatever reason, Tommy's manager granted me a 30-minute interview. I got there an hour early. My guitar pal Howard volunteered to shoot photographs. We found the courage to let ourselves in through the stage entrance. And in the hallway was Rob Ickes and Trey Hensley warming up. Tommy suddenly appears from around the corner. He says, "Hey, you're the guy." And I say, "Yes, I'm the guy." So here I am in Tommy's dressing room, and suddenly it dawns on me, this is really going to happen, like right now. Tommy did not disappoint. He answered all of my questions. He broke down his arrangement of the classic tune Close to You. And played it bar by bar to show us how you take a great tune and turn it into an entertainment masterpiece. He shared 60 minutes chatting with me, and then he says, "Hey John, Trey Hensley and I are going to go have a jam session backstage. Want to come check it out?" Then he says, "Hey John, come out on stage with me." Then he says, "Do you and Howard want to stick around for sound check?" After about 3 hours together, Tommy walks me out to the parking lot and he looks at me and he says, "Thank you, brother." It seemed a little bit weird that Tommy Emmanuel was thanking me, but the idea that we were brothers through the guitar, that didn't feel strange at all. And that's because the guitar brings all different kinds of people together. Do me a favor, take a second, subscribe to this channel. Thanks, brother. Thank you for coming on Guitar Magic. It's really a pleasure and a treat for me to get to spend some time with you.
I appreciate it.
We're at Campbell Hall in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, beautiful Santa Barbara.
You've got a show tonight. We're in a green room here.
We had one last night and one the night before and one the night before.
You've always got a show tonight.
We're rocking, yeah.
How many nights do you play a year?
If there's 365 in a year, that's how many I want to be playing. Yeah. But I've slowed down a bit. I play about 250 shows a year now.
Only 250.
I'll cut it right back. Yeah.
I was hoping you maybe could tell me the story of when you fell in love with the guitar.
Oh, that's easy. It was the day I came home from hospital, a few days old. My mother was put my pram next to the record player and put on music. And she said I went straight to sleep, right? And this was the routine. And then when the record finished, I woke up and screamed until she turned it over. And then I went back to sleep. So music was already doing something to me, even as a complete, blank canvas of a human being.
Precognitive human, it was already...
it was already there. And my mum told me that my first words were "turn it over." It's true. It sounds weird, and when I tell people, I think, yeah, that's a good story, but it's absolutely true. My mother, she swears, she said, the first thing you said one day was "turn it over." It was like, he speaks, It was the record.
Yeah, a complete sentence about music.
Yeah, turn it over.
Yeah.
Well, we were listening to, you got to remember, this is the late 50s. So the music that was big on the radio in those days was surfy kind of instrumental music, And in Australia, because Australia is part of the British Commonwealth, we got a lot more British music than we got American music, And there was local Australian bands as well and artists and everything. We had our own kind of Elvis, which was a guy named Col Joy, and his band were called the Joy Boys, and they were good. They were good players, right? And getting to witness a band like that, it's the first time I a proper professional show, and there's a guy playing a red Gibson, like a 335. I didn't know what it was. I knew what a Gibson was. But, and he was dressed with like a creamy coloured suit, and he had a Fender Showman laid back on its things. It was like, oh, my mouth was watering. Look at all this gear, because we were really poor, and so our first guitars were pretty cheap ones, and a little old 30-watt amp, and then eventually. We were able to get some good electric guitars. We wanted Fender guitars because we saw everybody playing them, but we just couldn't find them where we were. You got to remember, the Emmanuel family came from the sticks. We were poor, and we were living in a little town, and but we were all crazy about music. And my mum, raised 6 children, and she was the kind of mother who had to be singing, and there had to be music on, and she's in the kitchen and she's breastfeeding one baby while she's doing something else, and then putting the laundry on, and she was amazing. She really was, and she was a happy soul.
Well, I assume music is it's a scary career choice for a lot of people. Was the family supportive? They said, yeah, yes, keep doing that.
They were more than supportive. They were pushing us.
Oh, really?
Mum and Dad, because this is what's hard to explain to people. And you can see footage of people like Michael Jackson and his family, the Jacksons, and you can see that even in the home movies of them clowning around and all that, you can see the talent. You know what I mean? You can hear those boys can dance, those boys can play, those boys can sing, and all that sort of stuff. So we were a bit like that. We started out as an instrumental band, right? And so my brother Phil, who was older than me, and nearly 3 years, like 2 3/4. And so he wanted to be the lead player. So I was designated to be the rhythm guy, and my sister played the Hawaiian steel guitar because there was a lot of Hawaiian music on the radio. There was also 2 brothers called Santo and Johnny, who had a big hit with Sleepwalk, the song Sleepwalk, and that I remember when that came out. So that was like 1961 or something like that, around that time. So we were just trying to emulate the sounds we heard on the radio. The biggest band that were our biggest influence came from England, and they were called The Shadows, and they made the best records, beautiful sounding records, great melodies, and just everybody had like the Beatles, everybody had a sound and a personality, You had Tony Meehan on the drums, Chet Harris on the bass, Bruce Welch on the rhythm guitar, Hank Marvin on the lead guitar. Put those 4 guys together and you've got a great team there. You've got a great writers, players, the whole thing, So they were my first influence. And so I was, I was trying to work out all the songs, because we had you got to remember there's no guitar shop in our local town, there's no guitar teachers, there's no video, there's no TV, there's no nothing. There's a radio or a record player. That's it.
And some willpower.
Well, absolutely. What I tell people sometimes who come up to me, they say, "Oh, I can't play that song of yours because I haven't got big hands like you." Right? They say to me, "I haven't got big hands like you." I do have tall, long fingers that have been carefully designed to play the instrument. But I always tell them, have a look at Muriel Anderson. She can play the hell out of the guitar, and her hands are almost like a doll's. They're little, but she doesn't let that stop her. And I always say, it's not the size of your hands, it's the size of your determination is what's going to work for you. So get rid of those ideas, I can't do that because I got small hands. That's BS. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I was curious. There's certain players that they do things that have never been done before. things are impossible until someone does them, and you do some things that seem almost impossible until you do them.
I don't know any better.
I was going to ask, what is your approach? Not know better?
Not know better, no. Well, we were talking about this the other day. I'm just always trying to come up with stuff that is different, you know? And I have a great desire to give people a good time and to entertain them. So growing up watching the Three Stooges, the Marx Brothers, Crosby and Bob Hope and people, you get a feel for comedic timing and stuff like that. So, you know, I want to surprise my audience at every turn, because surprise equals entertainment. Right? I learned that from Penn and Teller. Thank you, Penn and Teller. You geniuses. But surprise equals entertainment. So I'm always walking that line of not overdoing the playing music that's going to go over people's head, not playing. Insisting that I just play my own songs because I'm a songwriter. I could go out and play all my shows just playing my own songs, but I have other things that I like to do that are very entertaining for people and kind of unexpected. So I use that approach, I mix it up. And when I want to be serious on stage, I'm very serious. When I want to be quiet, I'll be quiet. When I want to play like thunder, I'll play like thunder. That's just how it is for me, But I've always loved watching people who make people laugh, and I was on many shows where we were the band, and then there was like a singer, then there was a comic, then there was like Ali Baba who cut water out of his wife's belly and put it into a jar and said, "Look at that," stuff like that, And I would study the host or the comedian. I would just watch them every night and see the timing of the delivery of their jokes and how powerful that was. So, I may come out to the audience and say, this next piece it means a lot to me. I've performed it in front of the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Edinburgh, and many other pubs, stuff like that. See? And even he laughed. The magic man. Now, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that, I think the golden rule on stage, and the golden rule in life, is don't take yourself so seriously. I get up there, the first thing I want to do is take the mickey out of me. I want to ridicule me in a funny way that is funny for the audience. Like, I'd love to play Beethoven's 7th Symphony for you, but I don't know it. So here's one of my tunes,
I'm kind of curious. You were a pen pal with Chet Atkins?
I was what?
A pen pal with Chet Atkins?
I was,
that true?
yeah.
This was as a young child, right?
Yeah, well, what happened was I had discovered his music, and a friend of mine gave me 2 albums, The Best of Chet Atkins and Reminiscing with Chet and Hank Snow. And I wore those records out. And my father suddenly died. I was 10, almost 11. And my father suddenly died, and I clung to my music to get through it, because all I wanted in my life at that age was to get close to my dad. That's all I wanted, And anyway, so one day I just got this idea. I'm going to write a letter to Chet Atkins and tell him how much I love his music. So I looked on the back of the records and went through all the writing on the record, and all I saw was, Nashville, Tennessee, blah, 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 RCA music and all that. So I wrote this letter and telling him that I had some of his records, and I was trying to work out what he was doing and things like that, and that I'm a big fan. And on the envelope I wrote, Chet Atkins, Nashville, America. Put some stamps on it and sent it, and he got it. This is 1966. So it was probably delivered on horseback. But anyway, the Pony Express to Chet's place. But it was like 2 months later, I came home from school and my mum said, go into your room, there's something on your bed. And I went in there and there was this big brown envelope with eagle stamps on it. And I was, oh, wow, you know. And I opened it and it was a typical RCA Victor letterhead, all that, and from the office of Chet Atkins, you know. My heart nearly exploded, you know. And I read this beautiful letter from him. He was so surprised that anybody had heard of him from Australia and all that sort of thing, and wished me the luck with my playing, and sent me this black and white photograph of him with his Gretsch guitar, his Perry Como sweater, and signed to me. Wow. And I can't tell you what that did to a kid from nowhere in the other side of the world. I was just reaching out for something and I got it, you know. Wow. So we kind of stayed in touch. Every now and again I'd write a little note and he would get it and he would acknowledge it and write back. But it was when I was about 18 that some friends of mine recorded me playing in their lounge room. I was just playing a few tunes on my little old nylon string guitar, and they recorded it and sent it to Chet and didn't tell me. So about, I don't know, 3 months later, I get this note, and it's from the desk of Chet Atkins. It's handwritten, it's real scribbly, you know. Heard your tape and blah, blah, blah. Here's my office number, call me. So I called. And he said, when you get over here to America, come and see me. Come and give me a call and come and see me. So that's all I needed to encourage me, you know. But I was broke and struggling, and it was another 7 years of solid hard work and you know, hard labor to try and save up enough money to get to America and back.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like that early in childhood you needed music. It had a purpose in your life, and I'm wondering now you've got a lot of experience under your belt.
Yeah.
What purpose aside from to play it, what purpose does the guitar serve in your life now?
It's my constant companion, and it's the thing I love about the guitar is it's always the same. I'm always different. You know, like last night during the show, I struggled with a few things that I shouldn't have. That's what I think. And I realized I must be tired because my hands are not just like all over this thing. My hands are struggling. And I feel energized, but my body's not doing what it normally does. So, you know, I had to, you know, try to think of a smart way of playing everything as good as I could without trying to go into sixth gear and overdrive, you know. And but by the time I got to the last 20 minutes of the show, when I brought out Trey Hensley to come and play with me, I was ready to light a fire then, and I hosed the hell out of it at the end, you know. But things like that happen, you know. We're not machines, you know, and there are some nights I think, oh my God, it's going so great. My ideas are flowing, my abilities are just like almost bulletproof. And then the next night, nothing, you know. And I always tell people, like, when I'm doing like a workshop or a talk at a place like Berkeley, or where there's real guitar nerds and people who want to know stuff, they always say to me, you can't possibly be on 10 all the time. You must have nights where you struggle, you know, where you don't come up to the level that you're pushing yourself to. And it's absolutely true. I don't. I definitely have nights where I struggle. However, I always tell people, you know, they say, what do you do about that? Well, if you're not inspired, if you're tired, or you got a bad backache, or you've done 10 shows in a row and you suddenly realize, God, I'm tired, or whatever, you know, then you better have some good songs and good arrangements to play. Because even on your worst night, you're still going to put on a good show for people if you've got the right material.
Yeah.
So even on my worst night, where all my improvisation may be like, come on, let's go, and it's not, the magic isn't there, then you just turn to another source, open a different bag, and let all these other good arrangements and songs out and play them.
Yeah, I was curious, when you arrange a tune, you start working on it. I'm sure it has to hit a musical threshold before you're happy with it, but then there's a next level, which is, what is entertaining after it's musical? Do you think about that?
Absolutely. Like, for instance, let's use a universal song that came to, well, everybody knows the song's written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. It's called Close to You, and it was a big hit for the Carpenters and a lot of different people. And there was a tribute to Burt Bacharach, came out 15 years ago or something, and they gave all the songs like Do You Know the Way to San Jose and songs like that, gave all those songs to all the other artists. And then they rang me and they said, could you do Close to You? Because no one wanted to touch it, right? It's been done to death. And I said, this is the kind of challenge I like. So I put on my thinking cap about Close to You. Let's dissect what I did if you want to.
If you're willing.
Okay, so first of all, I had to find a nice key to play the song in, where I could get nice harmonies, I could get open notes ringing against melody, and all that stuff. So I chose... So I found a nice key to get that melody out. And I always recommend to people, if you're going to arrange a song that is, really well known and a pretty famous song, you better go and listen to the original version and find the things about it that everyone loves. So the first thing I noticed about the Carpenters version was Karen Carpenter's incredible voice was the high note. Right, and then there was a cluster of a vocal group underneath it. Right, so I looked for that. There's right, so found that, and I listened to the verses as they went through, and just to see what she did with the melody. So the first time it goes, just like me, they long to be close to you. The first time she does that, close to you. The second time it's close to you, stuff like that, And so I then put on my Penn and Teller hat and said, okay, how can I surprise the listener at every turn? So unresolved, then resolved, right? This is like, it's got movement, it's got unpredictability. It's not just he's playing the right chord and that's the right melody. It's a constant. Keep your eye on the ball. It's what I mean. Then the bridge. I'll just go through the verse. See, this is what happens when you get to my age. Here we go. Just like me, they long to be close to you. Check this out. unexpected. Close to you. Now the bridge. So that's what I came up with there. And so instead of doing diddly-dum like the piano did on the original version, I thought, I'm not going to do that. Everybody else has done that. I got to do something that's totally unexpected. So right, and that sets me up to there. So I'll just go through the bridge one more time. So I do a little kind of George Benson Earl Klugh, then, and just when you think you've heard everything, the ending, it finishes in a different key, which is an idea I would have stole from Stevie Wonder 30 years ago. Because he did that, you know what I mean? So in that one song there was all that. If I broke it down into, there's millions of little bits in there. There's things moving, there's harmonies, there's unexpected things, there's surprises. It's got everything in a 2 minute and 30 second song, you know?
I've never thought about it from the perspective of surprising people. Yeah. I thought of clever musical conventions and tricks.
Surprise.
But yeah. That's, wow. Wow, I'm a little flustered after hearing that. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
It should be like, you know, I'm always trying to do something where it's got to be good enough for me to go, I've got to play it again. I want to hear it again, you know? And like just playing, I haven't played Close to You for, I can't remember the last time I played it, right? So I'm desperately sitting here in front of your cameras trying to remember everything. However, it comes back to you pretty quickly, you know? And a lot of people love that song. And it's kind of, because it's been done to death, you know, 30 years ago, it doesn't detract to me from the quality and integrity of the melody, the harmonies, and the lyric of the song. Which brings me to a very important point, John, I wanted to make to your listeners and viewers out there. Chet Atkins told me the best bit of advice when I was young. He said, when you're learning a song and you're coming up with an arrangement, learn the words. Then you know what you're playing about. And it's so true. So I go to play a song and I go, that is why all the boys in town follow you all around. You know, there's the vocal and there's the harmonies and there's the story.
Yeah.
So I tell, you know, the difference between the men and the boys in the guitar world is it's in the detail. So I can watch people there were a lot of people who uploaded themselves playing my version of Close to You. And I saw thousands of people playing the almost correct positions, and that's about it. I didn't hear just like me, they long to be close to you. You know, I didn't hear that. I heard dun 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 dun. Look how clever I am playing the right positions. They don't even know they're doing that, you know. But, you know, it's not a criticism. What it is an observation. And that is youthful enthusiasm.
Yeah, I was
You
wondering.
never want to wipe that out.
I was wondering how your playing has changed as you've matured. I mean, because when you're young, you've got a lot of stuff to get out.
Oh.
But you may still have stuff to
I'm-
get out. But what's changed for you now that you've...
I got a lot more stuff to get out.
Okay. You heard it here, folks. He's got
Yeah.
more to get out.
No, well, I think you know, I never think much about my age because I know I'm not 21 anymore. And next year I'll be 70. But that number doesn't sound too big to me. And I'm not changed that much. You know, I always love the fact that I can look at life like a child. I still want to stay in touch with my amazement, the fact that I play music and people get happy. That amazes me. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that if you let me out there, you're going to have a great time and I'm going to have a ball, you know? So I never lose that. I never get jaded by the business. I get disappointed sometimes, and I've been ripped off a million times, and all that stuff, and criticized, and all that stuff. But that doesn't bother me. You know, the fact that I'm still alive after everything I've done to my body over the years is a miracle to me, and so I feel a greater sense of purpose than ever now that I'm a little older, because I have a lot of experience that I want to hand on to people, and I'm not afraid to put a lot out there, and I'm not afraid to say I don't think this song needs me playing a lot of stuff. Sometimes people want me to play on their record, and so I'll come in and have a listen to the track, and this has happened a few times. I've listened to it and my instinct tells me there's nothing for you to do here, you know? And I'll just be honest with them and say, I don't hear myself on that track. I'm sorry. Ask someone else, you know?
The music just doesn't call for it.
Exactly, you know? And like the Grammy that we just won for Folsom Prison Blues with my friends, the String Revolution, right? They're an LA-based guitar trio, two guys and a girl. And John Carter Cash, Johnny Cash's son, contacted me about playing on the track. And it was Folsom Prison Blues, right? Which is a song I've known since I was a kid. And I just played the melody and then played a few little licks. I did a couple of passes and then I left it to them. And they did a great job. They used what I did in the right places. They mixed it and mastered it. And next thing I'm on tour and I get a call, you've got a Grammy nomination. And I'm like, yeah, right. This, like, you know, I've been nominated before. Nothing's going to happen. And then my instincts just told me, you should go to the Grammys. You know, I said, because my manager rang me and he said, do you want to go to the Grammys or not? You know, you don't have to. And I said, yeah, let's go. He said, oh, all right. So I had a long tour, January, and Molly Tuttle and I did 18 shows together in England. And then I went to Paris for one show. Then I went back to Ireland for 3 shows. And then the next morning I flew from Dublin to LA, which is a 12-hour flight. Got to the hotel in the evening and got up early and went to the Grammys, and boom, they called us out. They called our name. And I couldn't believe it, you know. But there you go. I was just as amazed as if I was 21 years old, you know. I was just as amazed as I am today. I can't believe it. That's what I love about being in the music business, is anything is possible, but you've got to show up and do your best, you know?
I'm wondering, you've played your ass off for a long time.
I'll try.
You've had...
And I will try tonight, I promise.
You've played with a lot of people. You've played on a lot of stages. Are there, and you still have a sense of wonder about the instrument
absolutely.
and music. I'm wondering, are there other dream scenarios you still wish for that haven't happened yet?
I just want to get better at playing my instrument. I want to be a better composer. I'm not looking to, first of all, I'm not looking for fame and money, right? I'm not looking for that. Those kind of things do come to you, especially if you're not looking for it. but observing a lot of the young people coming up today, it really fills my heart when I see young players. There are kids out there, 12 years old, playing great blues, playing great phrasing, getting a good tone, knowing that they leave space. And where does that come from? It's unbelievable. It's such a gift, you know. So I'm glad to be here now to still have something to say and to give people a great time. But you know, I don't have a lot of desire for other things. You know, like I love photography. But every now and again, I think I should get myself a proper camera and learn how to use it. But I like taking photos with my iPhone. It takes great photos. You know, I like photography. I like. I used to have a lawn mowing business when I was going to school, and I thought, you know, if this music thing peters out, I'm going to have a lawn mowing business. That's going to be my main business, you know. So thankfully it hasn't petered out yet. There's a lot of peters out there. Anyway, I'm at your service.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
How often do you get someone as formidable as this to be at your service?
Today was our good fortune because we this whole tour has been, you know, long drives and getting to town just in time to put everything together, do the show, and then, you know, fall asleep after the show, exhausted, and run to the next town. Today we arrived here at 11 o'clock this morning. I changed strings on my guitar. I sat out in the sun. Today's the day for you. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, the guitar itself, it's a cultural phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
So many people love it. It brings people together in such interesting ways.
It's a weapon of mass construction.
Yeah. I'm wondering, do you have a sense or any theories of why it's so effective at bringing people together?
You can just carry it and play it anywhere, and you know, and we don't really, you know, the thing about guitar players is we don't really care if you're great or if you suck or if you're in between or whatever. If we see you love it, we'll do anything to help you. That's what guitar players are really like, you know.
Yeah.
It's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And my admiration for people who only play and they suck as a nerd mind would observe, but the joy it brings them just to play chords it's undeniable, you know. And you know, people are always saying, you know, what should I learn? And it's like, learn some good songs. Learn some songs that you can play rhythm to and sing, and other people can join in. You know, share your music, spread the love. You know.
Yeah. I'm wondering, you know, can you tell me a story of when someone helped you gain access to something on the guitar, or you helped someone else gain
Absolutely.
access?
2 days ago, I heard Trey Hensley playing Black Mountain Rag, like the Doc Watson arrangement, and I heard that I was doing it wrong, and so I watched him play it, and then and he said, it's this, and he showed me. And so today, when we arrived here, he was in there changing his strings, and I said, Trey, when the student's ready, the teacher will arrive. You arrive. Thank you. You know, so I got something right because of him. You know, that's just in the last couple of days. But you're always going to meet people who have their own view on things, and we need to stay open. We need to be an open vessel. Right? Don't let your pride, ego, and all that stuff, don't let that block you up, because it will. You know, the human ego is such a powerful thing, and you have to be careful. So try to remain open and try to remain teachable at all times. It's really important. You know, and sometimes especially if people, I can tell they're asking me a lot of things, but they're not going to do anything about it. You know what I mean? That kind of, it's like, I feel like Krusty the Clown all of a sudden, you know, get a job or something like that, you know. But I always try to say things from the point of view of just listen to me and I promise this will help you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it for any other reason, because I want you to be really genuinely helped. Don't waste your time with all that stuff there. If you do that, it'll help you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've wasted a lot of energy on a lot of people, but in the end of the day, I can look in the mirror and say, you did your best. Now put it to bed. You know, so. If there's anything I could tell you, it's like, you cannot be all things to all people. You just have to show up and do your best and then stand back and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. We're here with friend Howard, who's out in the audience. Howard and I, we've been playing guitar together for 20-something years.
Oh, great.
And
so you know G and D and B.
We know a handful of chords.
Right.
I don't know if we'll ever be good at it, but we love it, and people have been so kind to us around it. And he's been so kind to me over the years. It's just, it's always felt so wonderful where even people just light up around it. You know, and it like you said, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad.
No, we don't care. I mean, there's always going to be more amazing players coming along. Look at the quality of players out there now. I mean, young guys all over the place, young girls playing. There are more girls out there finally playing than ever before, and it's so exciting. It really is, you know. And, you know, I can't do what most of them do. It's on another level. But so the lesson is, I have to be happy and accept that this is who I am and this is how I play. I can always be working on it, but I can't be a Jeff Beck or a Joe Satriani. I can't do that. I have to be me, and I have to be happy with that, you know, and be grateful that you know, I'm in the happiness business. So
Adam Miller, someone I know you met, spent some time with, he turned me on to some of your early albums. I didn't realize that before you had this acoustic wizardry that you were also a Telecaster monster.
Totally, yeah.
And I was wondering, at what point did you feel the shift to a different voice?
Well, it's the same voice, it's just a different instrument. I went through a period in the 80s where I started writing, because, you know, Larry Carlton and Lee Ritenour and George Benson and people like that. There are a lot of other players too that I haven't mentioned, but they were releasing records, and it was, you know, it was good, but it was mostly jazz and fusion, and I thought, I'm not really a jazzer or a fusioner, but I can write kind of rock anthem type songs, and maybe it'll cross, you know. I'll get a bit of the kind of fusion guys, and I'll get the general rock and rollers as well. And so I did that, and I made an album that was mostly electric, and then there was some acoustic tunes in there. And in 1988, I was so lucky. I went to the record company, EMI, which stands for Every Mistake Imaginable, and I'm only kidding. And I presented them with the album, which I'd made for no cost, late at night, I said, I'd like to get this album out and get it distributed. And they immediately tried to talk me out of it. They said, there's no market for instrumental music. It's finished. It's done. I said, if you'll just put it out, I will create a market. And they're like, you're telling us that you're going to, they were just like, they thought I was some kind of fool. I said, I promise you just put it out and I'll do the rest. So you wouldn't have believed it was like the heavens opened and the sun shone through. The next day I was offered the John Denver tour, right? Opening for John Denver in Australia in 1988. That was a big deal. We were playing to 20 to 30,000 people a show. I came out to play 25 minutes as this completely almost unknown solo artist to the public, the general public. They loved it. My album came out and debuted in the top 10. And the timing of it was miraculous, And then the following year, I opened for a few other people. And then in 1990, I got Eric Clapton's Journeyman tour and with my band. And we did the whole tour. And my record sales just went up through the roof, And then that kind of solidified me as a concert artist in my home country. And Eric was so nice to me, and he really was. He was encouraging, and his band, all those guys, were just fabulous. Greg Fillinganes, I would turn up for sound check, and Greg Fillinganes would jump on the piano and sing one of my melodies and play all the chords. He remembered it, stuff like that. It's amazing. And I got to know Nathan East and Steve Ferroni and all those guys. So that tour came along. It was, helped raise me. And in the meantime, I'm selling so many shows. And what I do is, this is a part of the business that people don't discuss very much, but I'll tell you, as a person who, I don't have a hit record. I don't have a hit record in a movie. So I got to find some other way of success, so to speak, in my business. So here's what I did. I would tour and play shows, and then I would come out after playing the show to the foyer, where all the people are lined up, and I would sign autographs and get a photo with everybody. It'd take 2 hours after a show. It nearly killed me, but I did it, right? And that's how I built a following. That's how I built it. But the thing that I started to get from people was they said, we really love the band, we really love the show, it was great, but the best part was when you just played on your own. Ding! The light came on. The best part was when you just played on your own. So as much as I loved the guys and girls who worked with me, and we were such a family on the road, I had to see that the public wanted to hear that. They wanted to hear me just do my solo thing. So I started writing more songs for solo, and then I'd finish a band tour and I'd call my agent and say, let's do this run here that we just did 2 months ago and call it Tom Emmanuel Solo. And I would go out, same number of people, Yeah. So that was how it kind of started.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a fascinating story and history. Well, let me ask you, what's next for you?
Well, I have a new live album coming out this year, live at Sydney Opera House, that I recorded last May. And my album, The Endless Road, which came out in 2004, this is its 20th anniversary, so I've remastered it. I've recorded some live tracks and added to it, and it using the original artwork, it's coming out on vinyl. So and I'm excited about that. And I've got a new solo, all original album in the works. I'm waiting to write more songs. I've got like 7 songs so far. I needed at least another 7 to choose from.
I think you can do it.
I'm hoping to. I'm hoping to.
Well, I'll provide links to everything in the notes below the video, wherever they are down there, right. So everyone will know how to get to you. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. It's been It's been a treat.
Thank you.
It means a lot to
It's been
me.
a treat for me.
And thanks for
There's,
making the space.
Talking about what we go through and telling people what it's really like is such a wonderful thing. It's therapeutic for us.
Yeah.
know?
And I think you're doing a great service.
Well,
Also.
I hope so. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
If there's anything I want to be, it's two things, right? Useful and busy.
Yeah.
Not youthful, useful and busy. I like it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Do you want to play a few notes on the way out?
I could, yeah. Let's have a look here.